PennDel has the best church planners in the world. I'm passionate about what God's doing in church planning in PennDel. Sometimes when people think about church planning, they think like home missions and F-Troop. That's not the case here in PennDel. We've got church planners that are more like Navy SEALs. They're going into areas and they're reaching people with the love of Christ and transforming communities. I'm so excited and proud of what our church planners are doing, and I'd like you to hear from a few of them today because it is exciting to see what God's doing in church planning.
So I thought I had faith until I decided to plant a church. My wife and I were living the comfortable American dream, and God called me as a chemist to go plant a church and to be a pastor. And so a few years ago, we left everything behind. We sold our old farmhouse and we moved to Massachusetts to go to seminary and to become a pastor, and ultimately to come back to our hometown, not as a chemist, but as a church planter.
We're seeing people's lives change. We've seen people come in with hepatitis C. We've laid hands on them. Next thing you know, they're completely healed. We've had guys that come in, they couldn't read, and we laid hands on them, now they can read. We've seen prostitutes come off the street, completely delivered. They're godly women now, and we're seeing lives being changed by the hundreds.
Being a church planner, just like being a pastor, has many different facets to it. It's scary, it's exciting, you love it, you don't like it sometimes, but we really are seeing God start to do something at our church.
I've learned in this church plant that I need to rely on God, because He's the one that's going to produce change in people's lives, and that's what it's all about. And also, it needs to be about team. You can't do this alone. You need to surround yourself with a group of people that share in your vision, that have a heart and that have a passion, and will come alongside of you.
It's been the greatest thing I've ever done to serve the Lord this way, because I believe in church planting, especially in the inner city. I believe there needs to be more churches in the inner city, and we're seeing lives changed by setting up a beachhead right there in the inner city to take back what the enemy stole.
Chris, when she came to us, was just coming out of a lesbian relationship, addicted to cocaine. Now she's given her heart over to the Lord. She was baptized just over a year ago, and now she's actually leading one of our small groups.
It's amazing to see what's happened over these past 2 years, how God has taken nothing, a vision, a dream. That was it. That's what we had 2 years ago, and has grown that to 100 people now that have this vision of transforming Bethlehem and the Lehigh Valley with this story that God has given us.
One life that I'm really reminded of, that I believe River of Life has impacted, is the principal of Central Bucks East High School. His name's Abe Lukabaugh. He was the principal of the school where all of my daughters went, and most recently our daughter Laura, who went home to be with the Lord back in March of 2006. When I went in to pick up her personal effects, he asked me, "Do you have a moment?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Can you tell me your story?" So I said, "Well, what do you mean my story? How we started the church, or how I came to know Jesus Christ as my personal Savior?" He goes, "I want to hear about your faith." And after sharing my faith, it was probably about 3 months after that, not knowing the impact I had had on his life and the Lord had had on his heart and mind, I saw him one Sunday at the church, he and his wife and his 2 children. Then week after week, he continued to come, till finally one Sunday, he gave his heart to Jesus Christ.
Well, God started to work in my heart back when Earl Krebs came to speak at, what was it, Enrichment? Ministers Enrichment. And when Earl Krebs spoke, he gave an altar call asking if anyone would be interested in starting a church to reach a new emerging culture. I responded to that one, and though I didn't get the green light from the Lord at that moment to start this church, the wheels started turning, the processes were in motion. Over the next span of time, there were young adults that had come through my youth group, but now they had fallen away from the Lord, and I just cared about them. There was one young man that I saw the potential in his life. I saw that he was somebody that God could really use to reach people in State College. He had a lot of charisma, just a lot of natural ability to encourage people and touch lives, but he was not living for the Lord at all. In my attempt to reach out to him, well, before I could really seal the deal, he died, and I just wasn't okay with that. I went to his funeral, and while I was there, there was 100 to 150 young adults, people. They weren't Penn State students. They weren't going to go to a campus ministry. They just lived and worked in the area of State College. And my heart broke, and I had an Isaiah moment. And I said, Lord, who's going to go and reach these people? And as I was praying and asking the Lord that, I said, here I am, Lord. Send me. Send me.
So we cry out your name, El Shaddai, God of grace, Lord Most High, Jesus.